She screamed as they dragged her through the streets, her feet scraping against the dirt, her cries swallowed by cruel laughter. The people watched, but did nothing. Harmodius's sister had done nothing but exist. Nothing but be his sister. That was enough for Hipparchus to brand her, to humiliate her, because Harmodius had rejected him. Harmodius's hands trembled with fury, but Aristogeiton caught them, pressing them to his lips. "I'm here," he murmured. A promise, a vow. Their foreheads touched, breath mingling. The city slept, but rage kept them awake. By dawn, Athens would know their names. By dusk, the tyrant would bleed, their fingers entwined, their hearts beat as one. If Athens would not be free, neither would they. History speaks of tyrants and warriors, of battles and kings, but in the heart of Athens, two names endure, not just as assassins, but as lovers. Harmodius and Aristogeiton, bound by passion and defiance, toppled a tyrant and changed history. They were not kings, not soldiers of war, yet their love carved a path to democracy. They did not seek power, they sought justice. They did not march into battle. They walked into a festival, hands brushing, hearts beating in unison, knowing they would never walk out together. Plato called them heroes. The city of Athens raised statues in their honor. And while time sought to erase their love, history refused to forget. This is their story. Years earlier, under the Athenian sun, Aristogeiton trains in the courtyard, his body moving like liquid fire. Harmodius watches, a soft smirk playing on his lips. A challenge, an invitation. The wooden swords clash. They dance between shadows and sunlight, feints and counters. Then, Aristogeiton catches him, an arm around his waist, pulling him close. "Yield," he murmurs, lips ghosting over Harmodius's ear. Harmodius doesn't pull away. Never. They tumble to the ground, laughter turning into something else, a stolen kiss, fierce and full of promise. The world could wait. For now there was only this, hands in hair, bodies pressed, whispers of devotion. But love in Athens was a fragile thing, especially when it threatened those in power. Hipparchus, the tyrant's brother, had set his sights on Harmodius. Harmodius had rejected the advances of Hipparchus. Rejected, humiliated, he would not forgive. And so, vengeance began. Harmodius traced a finger over the candle's flickering light, eyes locked with Aristogeiton's. "Tomorrow we strike." Aristogeiton nodded, voice low but firm. "The Panathenaic festival, crowds everywhere. We move in close, daggers hidden, no speech, no hesitation." Harmodius exhaled. "One cut to the throat. The people will see. They'll rise." Aristogeiton pressed a kiss to his forehead. "If they don't, we don't leave that square alive." A pause. Then Harmodius smiled. "For love. For freedom." Aristogeiton tightened his grip. "For us." The room was small, barely more than a sanctuary of whispers and warmth. But in this moment it was enough. The flickering light of an oil lamp cast shadows across bare skin, hands roaming, memorizing. They had spent a lifetime together, but tonight, every touch felt different. Final. Harmodius pressed his forehead to Aristogeiton's, his breath warm against his lover's lips. "Will you find me in the next life?" Aristogeiton's fingers traced his jaw, his gaze steady. "I will burn down the underworld if I must." They kissed like men at the edge of a battlefield, drowning in the taste of each other, the feel of skin against skin. There was no fear in that moment, only love, consuming, defiant, eternal. Tomorrow their names would be written in blood, but tonight they belonged only to each other. The festival surges with music and voices, a wave of bodies moving in rhythmic devotion. Incense and crushed petals scent the air, but Harmodius and Aristogeiton smell only the sharpness of their own sweat, feel only the press of the daggers beneath their cloaks. The tyrant Hipparchus stands, draped in arrogance, basking in the adoration of his subjects. His laughter echoes across the temple steps. A glance, a breath, a silent promise between lovers. Their hands meet, just briefly, before Harmodius moves first, slipping through the crowd, blade drawn. The world slows. A flash of steel, a cry, The warm spray of blood against Harmodius's cheek, Hipparchus staggers, his white robe darkening in a crimson bloom. For one brief, perfect moment, the two lovers have won. Then, the shouts come, the heavy sound of running feet. Aristogeiton grips Harmodius's wrist. Run, but it's too late. The glint of bronze catches the sunlight as Athenian guards charge towards them. A warning scream dies in the throat as a soldier's sword finds Harmodius's ribs. His breath leaves him in a ragged exhale, his hand still reaching for Aristogeiton. Aristogeiton clutches that hand, trembling. Stay or flee. To live without him, is that life at all? The city closes in, but so does despair. His lover will not die in vain, he swears. The daggers had struck true, but freedom was still out of reach. Harmodius lay on the temple steps, his breath shallow, his body trembling as blood soaked into the sacred stone. His fingers, slick and shaking, reached out, searching, desperate, for Aristogeiton. And Aristogeiton was there, falling to his knees, clutching that outstretched hand, as if by sheer will he could hold him to this world. But love does not halt death. Harmodius' eyes, once bright, dulled. A final breath, a final twitch of his fingers. Then nothing. A scream tore from Aristogeiton's throat, raw and unrestrained. The city blurred, the festival's colors fading into the crimson of his lover's blood. The tyrant was dead, but the people did not rise. They did not rally. They cowered. "Cowards!" he shouted with despair apparent in his voice. The blade was still in his hand. He should have kept fighting, should have made them see, but hands seized him, yanking him back. Steel bit into his flesh. A boot pressed him into the dirt. He struggled, roared, but Harmodius was gone, and vengeance was not yet done. Aristogeiton's wrists were raw, the ropes cutting deeper with every jolt of the guards dragging him through the streets of Athens. His knees scraped against the stone, the dust mixing with blood. But he did not cry out. Pain was nothing, not compared to the gaping hole in his chest where Harmodius had once been. They threw him at the feet of Hippias. The tyrant lounged on his throne, his expression a mask of cold amusement. "You thought you could end me with a single stroke?" His voice was silk wrapped around steel. "You thought your love was enough to break an empire?" Aristogeiton lifted his head, sweat and blood streaking his face. His lips curled into something that was almost a smile. "Love is already won. You just don't see it yet." A nod from Hippias. The guards moved. A fist crashed into Aristogeiton's ribs. Another. Then the lash. Leather biting deep, peeling skin from flesh. Each strike sending fresh waves of agony through his body. His vision blurred. His breaths came in ragged gasps, but he would not scream. "Tell me the names of your co-conspirators," Hippias murmured, crouching beside him. "And I will make this swift." Aristogeiton spat blood at the tyrant's feet. "My only accomplice is dead. You already took everything." The torture continued, fire against his skin, fingers bent back until they snapped. But Aristogeiton did not break, because love does not kneel. "Off with his head," came the command. The dagger pressed against his throat, cold and final, but Aristogeiton didn't flinch. As the blade struck, his body fell, yet his defiance remained, echoing through the streets of Athens. His death was not the end, it was only the beginning. They thought Aristogeiton's final breath had ended the rebellion. They thought fear would chain the people forever, but fear is fleeting, and love is not so easily erased. Athens stirred, at first in hushed voices behind closed doors, in the clenched fists of those who had witnessed tyranny's cruelty, then, louder, in the streets, in the gathering of those who had once bowed but would bow no more. The fire Harmodius and Aristogeiton had sparked grew into an inferno. The people rose, no longer afraid, no longer willing to live beneath the shadow of a despot. The same city that had watched the lovers fall now took up their cause. Hippias, the last remnant of tyranny, was overthrown. His rule crumbled under the weight of a people who had seen what true courage looked like. In the wake of his fall, Athens did not seek another ruler. It sought freedom. What had begun as vengeance became revolution, and what had been a whisper of rebellion became the birth cry of democracy. The city learned that power did not belong in the hands of one, but in the hands of many. Tyranny had been slain, not by kings or gods, but by the love of two men who refused to kneel. Athens did not just remember, it honored the lovers who toppled a tyrant, the lovers who brought democracy to Athens. Harmodius and Aristogeiton stood immortalized in bronze, their statues rising in the heart of the city as symbols of defiance and devotion. No longer whispers in the dark. Their love and their rebellion were etched into history. The people laid wreaths at their feet, sang of their courage, and spoke their names with reverence. Lovers touched the statues, drawing strength from the story of two men who had dared to love and fight in a world that sought to silence them. They were more than assassins, more than heroes. They were the first lovers commemorated in stone, proof that love, true, unrelenting and fearless, could change the course of history. Athens was free, and in its freedom, it carried their memory forward. Forever lovers, forever revolutionaries, forever unforgotten. Harmodius and Aristogeiton, lovers who toppled a tyrant, were the first same-sex couple in Western history to be publicly commemorated. Their love and sacrifice became the foundation of Athenian democracy, proving that passion and defiance could reshape the world. Their statues still stand, a testament to love's enduring power and its place in history. Join us next time as we uncover more love stories buried in history.